Welcome to Caribbean Brilliance, where we highlight the contribution of Caribbean Americans in hopes that when they share their story, they might empower and inspire the present and future generation. Today, I have the matriarch, the amazing woman, the co-founder of VP Records, who has taken dancehall, soca, reggae to the main stage. Okay, basically, almost everybody in that genre is there because of Miss Pat. Hi, Miss Pat.
Hello, Francois. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Of
I am
course.
so grateful to be on your show.
Thank
And
you. Well, you know,
appreciate you.
I think she's gonna be messing up my name through the whole show. My name is
Yes,
Miss Francois.
Francois, a French. I'm not good in the French, but I'll do my best.
Not a problem. So I really appreciate you coming on this show. And again, this is going to be a little in the past, a mix up in the middle, and we end with the future and your legacy, right? And you're going strong.
Okay,
You come with the pearls and you're all well put together.
okay.
So, Miss Pat, you were born Dorothy Patricia Chin, right? And and now we call you Miss Pat. Where do you get the name Miss Pat from?
Well, back home in Jamaica, we call everybody Miss and Mister. So it's only here you call people by their first name. So the Miss Pat was stuck on me from I started business. So it
Awesome.
just stuck on me as Miss Pat. So I just continue with that name.
And your last name is Chin.
Chin. Yes,
So a lot
Chin.
of times, as soon as someone see you, especially we're all Caribbean, is the Chinese, the Chin, and they call everybody Chin sometime. But I found out after all my digging, you're part Chinese and part East Indian.
Yes.
So one of the things I first came up for me is growing up in Jamaica during those times. Was that ever an issue growing up, or did you have to like navigate that space?
No, back in Jamaica, everybody just mixed up. We're all a mixed nation. As a matter of fact, our slogan is out of many one culture. So back there, everybody, Chinese, Indian, Jewish, every nation is mixed up. So we don't know anything about a different color. We just know we are just mixed up all over.
One people.
Out of many one culture.
Like when I look back, especially in American society, right? A woman wasn't allowed to do a lot of things, right? And they were looked down more like less than, couldn't have a bank account, couldn't own a house, couldn't own anything unless they had a male. So in you're thinking at that time you're just doing what is necessary. But when you look back, do you see like basically you're an icon, like you're someone to people wanted to aspire to be, people look up to. Can you see how that could be that way now when you look back?
It's a strange feeling when I started to write my book, and I'm going through my different years from I was 18, which I spent 20 years. I was first a nurse, and then when I met my husband, I went in business with him. But that time, I didn't realize that I was doing a man's job. I'm just doing a business to survive. But when I came here, I felt different because, as I started my business again, I feel like people didn't realize that I was working on the counter for 20 years. Wow. I sell on the counter, I mix, I know the producers, the singer, the version, the name. Because at that time we didn't have computers, so we just had to remember everything in my head. So my husband, people ask us, how did you and your husband run the business? But my husband worked the studio, and I worked the downstairs, the retail store, where I meet all the artists and the producers. I know the music. So not having computer, you have to remember everything in your head. And being a woman, I have to work much harder to learn the skill. And that's how I survived. Because everything.
Would you say it was harder in America being a woman and doing that same business compared to Jamaica?
Yes, because they said, I used to do telemarketing, and they would say, can you put on a man on the phone? And I said, why? And they would say, because maybe you don't know what I need. But little did they know that I sell for 20 years on the counter. So I knew all the music, all the version, all the producers. everything in the
But how
music.
did you handle that with someone saying something like that?
Well, after a time, they get to realize that I know the business, and
And
I know what
don't
they
mess with
want.
Miss Pat. You
And
were like,
and
don't mess with
and
Miss Pat.
and then after a time, they only want me because I said, if your customer doesn't know the name, hum it for me. I'll find it for you, because I knew the music by just the. Is it a woman singing? Is it a man singing? What is singing about? Tell me. And they would hum a little part, and I get to find the music for them.
Because it sounded like you were building relationships until
And
they trusted you, and now they come looking for you compared to
yes,
before. So
yes,
I want to dig a little deep with VP Records being you and your husband. You mentioned that you did like a little bad boys in your life, right? And your parents
yes.
wasn't too happy about that. So what was so intriguing that like you felt like this person was for you and this relationship makes sense despite what your parents were telling you?
Although we're the same age, he was more advanced than I was. So I admire him for his knowledge, and I admire him that he had more exposure in life than I did.
So you mentioned you was a nurse. So you was a nurse for 2 years, and so what happened? You when you
I
went
got pregnant, and I just decided to go in business with my husband.
okay.
He was then working with a jukebox company, changed the jukebox records. You know, the
But did you
jukebox
ever
that
at any point, even though you started the business and we all know you're great in VP Records, did you ever want to go back to nursing?
Not really, because when I talked to my granddaughter, she said, "Grandma, you didn't do practical nursing, but you still have the artists trying to encourage them and nurture them and be for them too." So, in a sense, I still am doing what I love to do, to help
Right.
people.
It's like you're still caring for people at the same time. It's just in a
Yes.
different way. So I know you all branched out, Studio 17, all that good stuff, but how do you go from Jamaica, a small island, and say, yes, let's take this to New York? Like, how does that come about? How do you start planning that? The money that goes into it, the support that goes into it.
Well, we were forced like to come to America, because after spending 20 years and build a business, there was so much crime and unrest going on. So we didn't feel safe. So
Wow.
that's why we had to come here.
So
There's a lot of
technically,
political unrest.
that was not, you wasn't thinking of coming to New York or America necessarily to start the business. You were somewhat forced to because of what was happening in Jamaica.
Yes. But
Really?
we couldn't come out the country with less, only $50. So we took the records and the food with us. And you know, it's not something that you plan or think. You just know that you had to come, and you had to move with the kids. So I left my business, I left my friends, and I left everything there with my brother and my sister-in-law, and come here and to start all over again.
Because a lot of people, first you're coming from a small island, you're basically starting over. A lot of people would have given up. And like you're saying, your late husband Vincent loved what you do. Otherwise, if you think if you didn't love what you do, you would have been doing something else, definitely.
Yes, I think so. But because we love what we do, and we get so much gratitude when the artists do well and help them to do well, because their success is always our success.
That's awesome. Because you sound like throughout your whole life, you're giving and you're serving. Because a lot of stuff, what you say is not what you were getting, but what you were giving. And do you think that has a lot to do with your success?
Yes, I think so. Because you build relationship, and you be honest with people, and we just do what we love to do, day after day, day after day, day after day.
What?
And just,
Oh,
at one time I have even 600 customer, and then every time I would send little gifts in the box and little flyers and little article. And when they open the box, they always tell me, "Oh, Miss Pat, I feel like I'll get a Christmas gift because you put so much little pamphlets and things to read." Yes, it was a very good friend of mine. He met him at a club that he was singing, and they become great friends. And he made quite a few records for us. And he was from Trinidad, Lord Creator.
so
And he sang another nice one named Ma and Pa. Have you ever heard
so
that one?
what did the Jamaicans think about that? Like, because
Well, they just love it. You know, at first they didn't really accept it, but because it was such a good record and we got independence at that time, they had no choice, but everybody was singing it on the street.
So I'm glad that the music was able to overcome people saying, "Oh, it's a Trinidadian and it's Jamaica." So at the end of the day, the music won. Basically, I'm hearing.
Yes, very much so. Because people that lives here from the island, I think their food, their culture, their music is what you hold on to.
Sure.
Because when you leave your country and you come to a big America like this, I think having their music and their food and their culture is what sustains them. You know, you live here and you love it, but you never forget where you're coming from.
Home will always be home, no matter.
Always home will always be home.
So since we were talking about my music, right? We talked about, you mentioned Soca Gold, but beside that, all the people you have launched, from the Beanie Man, the Elephant Man, or something you all had to do with them, the Egyptian, the Lady Saw, the Richie Spice. Like when you see some of the things that, because you know some of them before, obviously they were at the heights they end up being. Like, how does that make you feel when you see someone just coming in the door trying to get a little record and making it to that kind of level? Or is it any one or two particular people that you think of that you're like amazed at?
Well, let me tell you, when you get to know the artists on a different level, you eat with them, you talk with them, it's different from you when you see them on stage. They're like a butterfly. They're so humble. And when I saw Lady Saw first, when we signed her, and you sit her, and one day I went to our concert. I couldn't believe that's Lady Saw. I mean, that the same thing when I said Calypso Rose. We eat bread and we talk and we make joke, but when they go on the stage, they're a different character. It's funny. All of them sit down and we talk and have fun and laugh and chat. They're ordinary people like you, but they just, when they go on stage, they're different. They're a show person. So I like that where they, you know, they change from that person. But I know each of them very personally, very down to earth.
And that's what I wanted to know. Are you someone that could recognize talent, especially since you've been in the industry this long?
Yes. Who are you talking about?
Well, first you did recognize me and my talent, so I would be one of them.
Yes, of course. Well, you're doing something that is very special too, because what you're doing as a radio host, you're helping to spread the culture and the music all over. So it's not only because without you, when I came here, LIB was the one that pushing all the reggae music. And it was big because we couldn't get our record play on the big station. So we had our Caribbean station. So you're part of the whole evolution of music too. And you know that we always need other people in our life. We can't do everything alone.
I
We
think
need
people
partners.
forget that many times, and they do try to do everything on their own.
No, we can't do everything. And I always feel when you reach the top, you need to bring another person up with you and help them to grow as much as you grow.
And you seem to be that kind of person, especially like now in this moment, you seem like you seem like you always had it in you, because my experience in this moment, you're just a kind person and you want to see people succeed.
Well, I really inherit that from my parents. You know, my dad was a giving person. Although we were poor, he said, there are people poorer than us.
Wow.
Christmas time, I know we used to put a tin of corned beef and a cup of rice in a little bag, and they would come. Poorer people would come and we'd give them. And Easter time, we give them a little piece of cheese and a bun. We as children saw our parents do that. So it just instilled in us that we have to continue that tradition too. So God gave you a little more, so you have to do more too.
How does VP Records still stay relevant? Because you still have a brick and mortar, and because a lot of things now is online. How have you all transitioned, or what was some of the challenges in transitioning?
Well, I said my son, my two sons, my daughter, they carry on the business, because my second son didn't work with us for a long time. He went to California and was more educated. So when he came back, because at first we couldn't get reggae music even in the stores, you know, the big stores.
Really?
It was very hard for them to even accept our music. But when
Really?
he came and he started to bring up the artists for shows and all like that, we grow and we learn. I mean, we go through a hard time too when people bankrupt with the money, but back home we don't know about bankruptcy.
Right.
But we survive and we change as time, you always to know the changes, even in music, as you know, the music is slow sometimes, it's fast, it's DJ time, it's lovers rock time. You just have to change, know that the time when to change with the music. Because I remember it was cassette, then it was CD, then it was LP. The sequence of the music changed. And I've noticed that it changes without age too. Because when you're young, you want to do the dancehall because it's a self-expression. When you get a little older, you do roots music, cultural music, and when you get
Right.
a little older, you want the lovers rock. So it goes
True.
without age too.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
true.
it goes
And you want to
without age.
calm down a little.
Yes,
You're like, I can't
calm down
jump
a
and do
little.
all that. My back hurting, my foot.
I didn't go to business school, but I learned it in by doing the business.
Wow. See,
I didn't go to
now you could
business
teach a
school.
whole class.
Well, I hope when I go out and talk, I hope they will be able to understand business. It's not an easy thing to do, but if you work hard and don't be afraid to ask for help and have a purpose, I think that's the same three things that I've achieved over the years. You have to work hard, you have to love what you do,
Work
and do
hard.
what you love.
So
You have to
do what
work
you love,
hard.
work
Ask for
hard,
help when you need help,
and
and don't
ask
be
for
afraid.
help.
And say, I don't know how. Can you teach me? Can you show me? Can you help me? Don't be afraid to ask for help. And then you have to have a purpose in life. What you really, what God has given you a purpose to do, you have to do it. You have to have a purpose in life.
Beautiful. So you mentioned your kids before. How many kids do you have?
I have three kids and a
What are their names,
stepson.
if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, Christopher. I have one first son, Clive, my stepson, and then I have Christopher, and I have Randy, and I have Angela, my daughter. Chris is a person that deals with the artists. They love him because he's just like myself. Randy went out and be educated, so he does the lawyers and all like that. My daughter went for the business, so she does the distribution in Florida.
Wow.
So we all work in different part of the business.
So I'm saying a lot of times when you have kids and you have a family business that you guys have, a lot of times kids want to go out and do their own thing. So that
And
was,
I didn't stop my second son. He didn't like the business. He
but
went
now he
away for
does.
30 years after, and then he came back and worked with us.
Wow.
But and I've never forced any of them to come in the business. They just like what they do. They see me working every day and they just follow what I do. And my grandkids work in the business too. I have four grandkids that work in the business. Because of the new technology, I have Stephen that does the Facebook and all those technical part, put up the records, and Spotify, I put the records and
So it's
different
still a
Apple.
full family business.
And then my granddaughter, she's a makeup artist to help make up the artists. And then the other one that she does the graphic for the LP jackets. So they do the music, but in different ways in the
Yeah,
business.
so this is like a 100% family business. You don't hear that much.
Yeah, yes.
So that's amazing. So you're still active, as we can see. You're well put together on this interview. Your background, VP Records. You're in the store. You're doing your thing. So what does your role look like today compared to all the stuff you used to do before?
Well, I'm in COVID. I write my book. I wrote my book because I wanted my great grandkids to know what I did. So I write my book because my mother and father didn't share anything with us. They didn't share the struggle they came with. I know they came from India and China and boat and 6 months to reach and how they started. They didn't share anything with us, but I wanted my great grandkids to read what I did. It wasn't intent to sell. I was just writing my book to give my grandkids so they know what I did. And it became a selling book. And when I was reading
if you
my
didn't have
book,
COVID, were you planning to write a book at some point?
no, it wasn't planned. It was just that I wanted my kids and great grandkids to know who I am before I go. because my parents didn't tell me anything about their life, and my grandparents didn't tell me anything. And you know, back home, how do you know your parents love you? They didn't hug you, they didn't tell you, so they
True.
love you. They give you food and they send you to school and they put
Yes.
on
And
clothes and
everything
you
was
go.
a secret. You never know anything.
Yes, you don't know anything, you know, so we just grew up like that. But today I've realized that I need to share it with them, and through my book, I'm sharing it. And then 2 years ago, I created a foundation that I could give back.
So I wanted to know, what's the name of the foundation you mentioned?
Vincent and Pat Foundation.
Vincent and Pat
Yes,
Foundation.
it's for music education, because we're always giving back.
Awesome.
And especially Alpha Boys School, where it was created by a sister, 130 years old now. She took away the runaway boys and teach them music.
Okay.
And
I wanted to make sure, and do you have a copy of your book there with you or no?
yes.
We both have a copy.
Oh yes, you bought the big one. Well, you have a small one. You can
Yeah.
tell people that they can get a small one for travel. And then I'll soon put it on the internet that they can download it also.
Awesome. And I'm
Yes.
telling you all, I read the book. I love the book. And you wrote it in a way, especially the photos took you back into time. Like you can see it. And that matters because people like to use their imagination, so forth and so on. And you know, and one of the best things is just thinking about that time and growing up poor, you know, mixed race, that kind of atmosphere, all the violence. That's some serious history. Like people should not take those things for granted, how far you've come. And this is a reason for this show, to show people no matter who you are, where you come from, your race. Sometimes when you put in the hard work, you decide, like you said, your purpose, ask for help, and you just keep going, any and everything is possible. You know, because a lot of
Yes.
people make
And
up
you know
excuses.
something? Over the years that have been in business, and when I'm writing my book, when I was reading it over and editing, I'm reading about this woman and then I realized it's me. It's a
Wow.
funny feeling.
Yeah,
I cried a lot writing this book. I
I
cried
can
a lot.
imagine.
It's very healing for me after I finish it.
And I think it'd
I
be
cried
healing for
every
other
day.
people also.
I cried every day because I didn't know that this woman is the woman, is me.
Wow.
Because when you're going through it, there's no perspective. It's on when you look back, then you see where we're going
Very
through.
true. It's like when you're in it, you don't see it.
You don't see it.
Right.
But when it's gone, then you realize. Because when I go downtown now in Kingston, back where I'm from, I couldn't believe that we did business there for 20 years. Because we came from very, very poor country. I think I think even when you're poor too, and you have more compassion for other people because you know where you're coming from, and
Yeah.
you can't. When you see people, they would have a bad day, but you don't take it for nothing. You just, we all have bad days, you know,
Wow.
because sometimes the artists, they would make their music and not sell. I feel bad, and I feel bad for them too. But everybody have their bad days and good days. But you treat them like how you would want them to treat you. So even if they have a bad days, you don't make it affect you. You just
Yeah.
be honest in what you do.
I would like to say it's easier said than done. It's just like they say sometimes when other people don't react to what other people might say or do, you know, but sometimes it's hard. Someone says something and you like to defend, you like to attack because you feel like you're being attacked, you know?
Yes, a lot of times it happens, but after a time you realize that people do have bad days. So you just have to just realize they're going to calm down soon. And everybody's, everybody have bad days and good days. So I
Yeah,
think
true.
my mother was the same person like me. She was very giving, and my father wasn't like that. He blew off the angle, but I didn't take my father's side. I took my mother's side.
Very well, thank
And,
goodness.
and then she was loving and kind too. And the things that she did without even, and couldn't read, I admire her a lot.
That's
Because
beautiful.
she teach me everything about life and people and how important it is to care for people and to help others.
So look at that. You continue in your mom's legacy. by,
Yes.
taking what your mom taught you and passing it on. Think about how many people be like, thank God I met Miss Pat. Because I'll be honest right now, like before I met you, yes, I was doing some of the things, but you helped solidify for me, like when certain people in my mind, like Miss Pat, even though you're 4 feet tall, in my mind, you're like 6 feet. So when you say certain things, it holds more weight than if someone else has said it. And in that moment when I had met you, you had a conversation. We sat in, I think it was Panera Bread. You don't know the simple little sentences and things you have said to me, how much that pours into me and help me to believe in myself a lot more. Sometimes people just want someone to believe in them first, because they don't believe in themselves enough. And I'm so grateful to you for giving me that opportunity. I think it was Bickles, because of that, one thing you have said to me, I don't expect you to remember everything you say to people because I'm sure you say a lot. But you said it have how many hundreds of people in this room, and all I would need to do is meet at least 2 people that could definitely change things. And believe me, so said, so done. So I have you to thank for that. And again, you might be going through life, just living your life, being yourself, but you couldn't fully understand the impact that you have had on people that you might have just said one sentence to, that you might have just hugged or smiled. So I want to thank you on behalf of me and behalf of them and behalf of the future people you're going to meet, and definitely shine a light on them. And
Yes, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity of helping me to share my story. And I hope when you hear it, it will resonate with someone else because
I
it's just passing on to each one. And I want to thank all the music fans, all the operators, all the DJs, all the people in the world that supported VP Records, the DJs, the radio personnel like you, because without you all, we wouldn't be a VP
and
Records.
we
You
all
have given me the
need each
spark
other.
to go forward.
So with that said, this is what we definitely do. You can't see it, but I'll make sure and get it to you. We have this special thing that we make. It's Miss Pat. And it says, in recognition of amplifying Caribbean brilliance, we thank you for your contribution. Miss Francois. I put the extra Miss, like Miss Francois, because it's multi-talented and super sexy Pat.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Caribbean Brilliance. It was a very good evening with you, and I hope you'll do well and continue to do well because you have the spark also. I see that.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much. I
Blessings and
appreciate
love,
you in this
and may
moment,
you do
okay?
well too.
One thing, I just want the people, in case they want to reach out, support the foundation, support VP Records, where can they reach out? Where can they find you guys?
Well, we're on the internet, vpreggae.com and
VPReggae.com. So I'm going to
vpmusic.com.
put all those things at the
And
bottom.
my book is in Amazon, and I sell it at all the retail stores too. And it's in Jamaica if they go in Jamaica. I'm trying
Beautiful.
to circulate the book in the rest of the islands, but it just take a little time.
Of course. Well, we know your work ethic, so everything is possible. So I expect
Yes,
nothing less.
right.
Thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you
the
very
time and
much.
interviewing.
Yes,
So I just want to tell everyone there, continue to reach for the stars, and until we lime again.
yes.
Bye.
Work hard, love what you do, and have a purpose in life.
Perfectly said.
And
Thank
make
you so
sure
much.
that you give back when you reach the top. Bring up another person with you.